guys, how you doing? It's been a long time since I made a video, I know, and it's now 2021. I hope everyone is doing okay. I know last year was very difficult for all of us, including myself, and I just hope that we're all just gonna be able to get through this together, and hopefully I'll have a lot of good things and good news coming throughout the rest of this year. We'll see what happens. I've really missed making a lot of YouTube videos. It's been a long time, and I've been hoping to get back into it, but I just decided today was the day. I want to go ahead and film something. I want to talk about my top films of 2020. Now, I think one of the things that was very difficult for me last year was just the fact that I couldn't go to the movies, ever since March. And I was really down about that for a long time. I had to really kind of reevaluate my interest in film and figure out other ways I could just engage with it and decide, what I wanted to watch every week. And that was challenging, but eventually I found something that worked for me, and I did end up watching quite a lot of films that came out last year. So while this list is obviously going to have kind of an asterisk next to it, since there were so many films pushed out, didn't make it to theaters, etc., I still think there was plenty of great films, and if you're just kind of an average movie watcher that doesn't know about a lot of that, a lot of films that are kind of hidden gems, I'm hoping there will be a lot on this list that you might have not heard of, and you might be able to take something away from this and add to your own watch list. Now, last year I did my own top 15 with some honorable mentions. This year I'm going to do a top 10 as well as some honorable mentions again. And I'm going to also stick with the best genre awards, so that if you're someone that might be into something very specific, you'll know exactly, you'll be able to find something here that really appeals to your interests in particular. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about some of these honorable mentions.
You get back here with my kid!
I did something unexpected today.
The first one is an indie film called Swallow, which, I'll be honest, this was a film I really wasn't sure how much I was going to enjoy. It deals with a woman who is going through a very specific eating disorder that is very unpleasant and at times can be really hard to watch. However, the performances and the story and how we see her life sort of change and unravel as things progress, it was very captivating, great cinematography, and I think this film may be pretty underrated, and if you can stomach it, no pun intended, I really think this is a great watch and a very investing thriller that I would definitely give a chance.
俺の願いはひな子が自分の波に乗れること。
Ride Your Wave was one of my favorite anime films from last year from director Masaki Yuasa. It was a great little surprise, and I would say even a hidden gem itself. I got to see this one in theaters. I think it was around January, actually, and I had a blast. It's hilarious. The characters are very interesting. The whole concept of someone who begins to appear and follow around this lead protagonist we have in the film, in all the different ways that he shows up and other things. I don't want to give too much away because there was a very big, twist in this film if you didn't know what you were getting into like myself, but it's such an enjoyable film, and Masaki Yuasa contends to bring us such enjoyable, delightful, weird, and fun movies, along with, similar films in the past like he's done The Night is Short, Walk on Girl, and Mind Game, etc.
If it's adventure you seek, you've come to the right tavern. Oh, no.
Now, I think Onward actually, if I had to pick between Soul and Onward, it might be my favorite as far as more rewatchable and more relatable. I do think Soul is the overall better film, but something about Onward just really stuck with me. I think perhaps the characters were more relatable, especially the ending. That had a very personal impact on me, emotionally as well. I highly enjoyed this film, and it could have been on this top 10 if I was really going with a subjective list, but this is trying to highlight the overall quality, and I think Soul was just a bit better overall, but definitely don't sleep on Onward if you haven't checked it out.
While the risk of coronavirus remains low, as the president said yesterday, we're ready for anything.
Michael Penis, I brought the girl for you.
Borat's subsequent movie film,
or Borat 2 to keep it simple. Now, I'll be honest, growing up I remember enjoying Borat for what it was and also being kind of turned off by it at the same time. I went and rewatched the first film before checking this one out, and I came away really enjoying this one. It's not as good as the first one, and I do like the first one a lot more than I expected to and remembered. But it is very fun. I've seen it twice now. It's a great one to watch with a friend or someone else. There's a lot of things in it that will surprise you, just like the first one. I do think it might be one of the best comedies that we've seen from last year. If you're on the fence about it, well, that's up to you, but I highly recommend checking it out when you get a chance.
That small thought, it's all it takes to lose control.
Possessor, now this is a very interesting film. I don't think a lot of people might know about it, but it kept on creeping up on one of my highest anticipated lists, especially in horror film. I was not as impressed by it as I wanted to be. I didn't like it quite as much as I was hoping, but I still very much enjoyed it. It has a very interesting concept. I think it's one that if I give it another watch, I'll actually like it even more. Very well acted, very intriguing. The entire idea of someone kind of being stuck inside someone's head and this whole assassination group sort of thing that's going on. I thought it was very fascinating. It definitely had kind of a mix of Upgrade and with maybe a little bit more horror in there, a little bit more sci-fi. But definitely check that one out when you get a chance. Okay, so those are my honorable mentions. Now, I'm very excited to talk about my top 10. As I said, these are all going to get individual awards for best genres as well.
Tiene buen corazón. No creo que sobreviva usted mucho tiempo.
The Platform was a very interesting sci-fi film. I really liked what they pulled off, and there was a lot of surprises. I really liked the characters and all the questioning that goes on, trying to figure out why this platform exists, and sort of being put in the driver's seat as the viewer, figuring out with the protagonist. And I love the themes of class and the simplicity of how that was portrayed on screen. Very worthwhile film to check out. Had a lot to say, and I also really enjoy the ambiguity of it as well. I really think if you haven't seen this one yet, you definitely should set aside some time to check it out.
Let me help you.
You can't help me. Surprise.
The Invisible Man was my favorite horror film. One, because it was the only one I believe I saw in theaters last year, and I feel like I have a nice connection to it because of that. I really miss going to the movie theaters, but it was very well done. I love director Lee Winnell, especially his film Upgrade, which I mentioned earlier. I think this was a great follow-up. I can't wait to see what he does next. I really like how this sort of turned things on its head from the original Invisible Man. Very different from that film. And there was a lot of things about this film that surprised me, and a couple moments that generally got me, some jump scares here and there. But overall, Elizabeth Moss was fantastic, and just the film itself was just executed very well, especially the opening. The opening scene really gets you into the film right away. So definitely one of my favorite top horror films.
This reversing the flow of time. Doesn't us being here now mean it never happened?
Tenet was the best action film for me because simply because of the rewind, the technology, and that whole concept was done so technically. That was incredibly impressive to see on screen. The rest of the movie, it's hard to say for me. The characters are a bit bland. The story is very confusing. I couldn't even tell you the plot off the top of my head because it's just so difficult to describe for me. But I definitely want to see it again to see if It kind of improves on second viewing when you've, kind of been able to digest it for that first time. But just for the action sequences and the technical level of that film, it definitely deserves to be on this list. I do wish that some of the audio was a little bit tighter and easier to hear, but sound mixing, what are you going to do when Christopher Nolan is helming a movie lately? But definitely check out Tenet when you get a chance, and I'd love to hear what you think about that one.
Blowing like cold wind. Maybe this is how it was always going to end.
I'm Thinking of Ending Things was such a great thriller. This film has one of the most investing scripts that I've seen from last year. It really mesmerized me at times, the poetry in it, and it's one of those films that I was recommended to me, and when I finally watched it, I was just like, what? I had a hard time. I had to sit with it a little bit, and then I realized there's so much more to it when you watch it again. You can view this film in a completely different way. So I'm very excited to actually see it again because of that. The performances were just fantastic. The two leads in the film. I really enjoyed it. I think it was very different. I'm hoping it actually gets nominated for an adapted screenplay. Definitely check this one out on Netflix when you get a chance.
In my line of work, I have to be very careful. And that means knowing exactly who I am in business with.
The Five Bloods was a great war film. I've been a fan of Spike Lee's movies ever since, I want to say, Do the Right Thing. And I really thought this film had some fantastic performances. I like that it wasn't solely a drama. There are so many war films out there that are, just incredibly dramatic. And this one is, but there is some comedy, there's some levity. Chadwick Boseman, one of his final roles, he was incredible in the film. Many other people in the film were very good as well, and I think we're going to see some possible Oscar nominations from at least two of them. Delroy Lindo definitely comes to mind. Definitely a movie that has something to say, and will be difficult to watch for some people at times because of the way Spike Lee puts real images on screen that are very horrific to look at. But definitely a movie, a very important film to check out, and I highly recommend seeing it. I definitely want to see it again someday.
この雨が止んでほしいって思う。
ねえ、それってどういう。
Weathering with You was the best animation and anime film for me of last year because Makoto Shinkai is just such an incredible director. His visuals are absolutely stunning. That every single second, everything you look at is a piece of art, is your own new screensaver or wallpaper for your computer. This film has fantastic movies, characters that were really interesting to see develop. The story is a very interesting concept with someone who can control the weather. It was just such an enjoyable film, and there are a few moments, especially near the end, where my jaw just dropped at how gorgeous and amazing some of these sequences were. Definitely a movie not to sleep on if you're a fan of animation in general. Should have been nominated last year. Definitely got to check it out one of these days.
And they don't stay for long. Hey!
Everyone take the wheel! What's going on? There's something in the sky.
The Vast of Night. This was my favorite mystery because I love the feeling of this kind of classic sci-fi 50s or 60s era where you have these, they just nailed the time period. They nailed the intrigue, when something that's dealing with the idea of aliens or some kind of outer, otherworldly thing. We've seen it before, but this film really knew how to show you things, but also keep things very in the moment. There's a lot of great one-take shots, and there's a lot of great suspense, and just kind of figuring things out with these characters. You know, there's a lot of fun, great dynamics between the characters. Definitely a film that I think is possibly a bit of a hidden gem that a lot of people haven't heard of and should check out. Highly recommend it when you get a chance. 1917. So I know what you're thinking. Well, this was in the awards season last year. Does it really count for a 2020 film? Well, for me, if it was released in theaters in 2020, then it goes on this list. And 1917, I saw it twice in theaters. I absolutely found this film to be incredible. I loved the technical achievement that this film did with making it look like it was all shot in one take. Very well paced, great characters, very powerful moments, and just a very interesting war film in a period that a lot of people might not be aware of. And to just kind of do like a, you know, roughly 2-hour movie in this one moment in time, the way they did it was just amazing. If you haven't seen 1917 yet, you got to check this one out. It was a runner-up for Best Picture at the Oscars last year, I want to say. So definitely worth seeing and worth owning.
You're still alive?
Can you help me get back?
No way!
There I am. What are we waiting for?
Wait, not me!
I gave Soul the best comedy because this film really, on a technical level, does so much well. There are, you know, there's great music, great animation, obviously from Pixar. They always knock it out of the park. The characters, the story, everything about it really is just so well done. But you know, the fact that they were able to take such deep themes and something that's a bit more oriented, maybe even for adults. But still provide some levity, provide the comedy that we expect from a Pixar film. I thought that was such a great balance, a great little tightrope that they were able to achieve. And this film really did work really well. I think I will like it even more when I see it again. I'd say objectively, it is a fantastic film, and I really think it has a very good chance of winning Best Animated Feature of the Year. So, of course, check out Soul when you can.
You have to leave. No way! I scared him off.
Wolfwalkers was the best fantasy film, bar none, and I think it absolutely deserves Best Animated Feature of the Year. If I had to pick between that and Soul, this film blew me away. You know, Cartoon Saloon, the studio behind this film, they've done other films in the past such as The Secret of Kells, Song of the Sea, and The Breadwinner. They've never won the big one. You know, they're a smaller studio, but I think this could be their year. I think they might be able to pull off a Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and, you know, topple the giant Pixar and Disney. But we'll see. This film was incredible. The visuals are just gorgeous, lush. The story and the folklore, the writing, everything about it just blew me away. You know, I think it's absolutely my favorite of all the films that they've done, and I will be disappointed for sure if it doesn't win the big one. But I can't recommend this film enough. It's on Apple TV Plus, so there's probably a lot of you who haven't seen it yet. You can get a free trial, check it out. That would be my #1 recommendation to you, as you see here. And of course, all of these films are Dyligent picks. So guys, how are you doing? I know it's been a long time, as I prefaced at the beginning. We're in 2021. I'm hoping to continue to make more videos. I'm hoping to make videos about maybe some different topics, maybe explore a couple new ideas that I've been thinking about for a long time. As I mentioned, I've kind of changed my viewing habits a bit. I've started collecting a lot more, and I might even start talking about some of my collection a little bit more too, or doing, you know, 4K or Blu-ray reviews in addition to just normal standard reviews. I'm open to other ideas that you guys have for the channel. I'm gonna kind of try to just keep things fluid and try some different styles, presentation styles, editing styles. We'll see how it goes, and I hope you all do very well for the rest of this year, and stay healthy, stay safe. Hopefully we will all be getting a vaccine very soon. So that's about it for me, guys. As always, my name is Dylan, and if you love entertainment, subscribe to my channel while this video ends and send me a thumbs up before you go. Thanks for watching, and stay diligent.